So, my son is born and I'm overjoyed. I am so happy. I'm beyond happy. At this time now, I got one issue. It's during the pandemic, and both me and my wife at the time are living in two different residences. And at this time, I realized, and at this time we weren't married yet, but I realized I'm not going to be able to take care of two residents. But I knew I had to take care of hers. And so we then made plans then to move in with each other, and we made these plans to move in with each other, and we did. We made that move. We moved in with each other. um, and while some people didn't look at it as bad or old school shacking up, some folks did. And I believe this is the move that made some folks, as far as in my spiritual corner, back up from me. I believe this is the move where people were saying, okay, I don't really want nothing to do with him right now. And I felt it. They might not notice, but I felt it. And so at this moment and at this time, I'm realizing, okay, they not ride with me on this one. And I sat there and I'm going through it because I'm thinking to myself, I don't know how I'm gonna make this right. But I know at this time, this is the only option I got. So we move in together, and at that time I take over the bills, and I'm taking care of things, and it's pretty much going smooth because now the money that I used to be using to take care of another place, I'm now taking care of both places. I am taking care of both places even when we moved in with each other, but eventually I eliminated the second place, which was my place, and we both moved in together. And so now we're living together. And I'm being told by certain folks, the man of God I have at the time is telling me, you gotta move out. I think he gave me a phone call. He said, you gotta move out. And I'm gonna be honest, I knew when I hung up the phone, I wasn't listening to that. I knew it. And I'm not trying to sound defiant. I understand what some of you guys are thinking. But I just knew for that time, we're talking about it's during the pandemic. And while it's on the tail end of the pandemic, it's still the pandemic. And I just knew I couldn't do that. It was something I couldn't do. And so I began to feel the distance from my church. I began to feel the space between us. I began to understand what it's like to be in the wilderness. And at that time, I'm saying to myself, I'm starting to get the desire to go to church less and less. I mean, it's starting to die in me. I'm starting to realize I don't want to go to church. So I went from going to church every Sunday and trying my best to make Wednesdays to now I'm going to church once every month. And it went from once every month to once every quarter. And then it went from once every quarter to I don't want to go. And while I'm watching church on YouTube, when I got to the point where I did not want to go, I stopped doing that. And I realized how at that moment, spiritually, I just wasn't in a good place. But I also knew something else. I knew that in order for me to make it back spiritually, I have to make some things in my life right. And one of the things I wanted to make right was I wanted to marry my wife, Jasmine. And so I proposed to her. She accepted. And in June of 2024, June 9th to be exactly, at FDR Park in Philadelphia, me and my wife tied the knot. We got married. And at the end of this video, this episode, I'm going to put a video to let you know how God confirmed me and my wife. This video will amaze you because it's not like we told him to say this. It isn't like we was rehearsing this or this is something we just shot. She was organically shooting this video. This was us after we got married. We at the hotel, and my son decided to let God use him and say something that pretty much confirmed that me and my wife were supposed to get married. And it made us feel so good to our bones because we already knew we was making the right decision. But for our son to be touched and to be in agreement with that was so amazing. And for me to get the approval of marriage from her father and to know that now we're no longer shacking up. This is no longer a sin I'm dealing with, but now I'm in right standing. It felt so good to know that, because you can't ask God to deliver you from sin in the midst of making decisions to constantly do things of sin. Now, when I went to the Bible and I looked it up, it's not the act of shacking that is the sin. It's the actions that can potentially and that can happen that can put you in sin. A lot of times, it's not the actual action. For instance, let me give you an example. Most people who read the Bible know this. Drinking is not a sin. Drinking alcohol is not a sin. The sin is becoming a drunkard, getting drunk. That's a sin. It's in the Bible. It's a sin. So if you know you can't drink until you know you're going to get drunk, don't sin. Don't drink, because it's going to lead to sin. If you know you drinking is going to lead to somebody else's sinning, don't drink, because you're going to cause somebody to sin. But drinking is not a sin. So in other reference, shacking wasn't a sin, but the actions that it leads to is sin. The perception of it is sinful. So it was great to know that I was no longer in that space or in that area, but that I was in right standing with God. And to know that was great. But what I did not know was that it was just the beginning, because the attacks are coming.